Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be talking about Warcraft 3. In fact, I am going to be going over and ranking every single campaign mission in Warcraft 3. This is just going to be the missions, so none of the cutscenes, and this is going to be based on gameplay and not on story, mostly. Obviously, I have a bit of bias and all of that, so do keep in mind that this is an opinion, and if you disagree, you can feel free to tell me down below. So we're going to start off here with the prologue, because that is a very good place to start. Let's bring it up here. Prologue 1, it's a tutorial. Moving on. So, now we have the custom campaign that was basically added into the game with the addition of Warcraft Reforged. Warcraft 3 Reforged. We have Riders of the Storm. Honestly, if you haven't played this mission, it's very simple. It's basically just destroy the opponent's base. It's really very, very basic. But it does help you understand where things come from. So in terms of story, it's very good. But in terms of gameplay, it's very, very basic. I'm going to put it at a D tier. It's just meh. Moving on. Fires Down Below is a dungeon crawl or a no-build mission, as they're often referred to, but it's also one of the worst. So again, it's going to go in D tier. And Countdown to Extinction is a holdout mission. I hate holdout missions, and this one is not really exceptional. All of the prologue is pretty bad, I'm not going to lie, even though I think it's mostly due to the fact that this was basically put in as like an addition to the game to kind of explain some things, explain how custom campaigns worked and all of that stuff for the Frozen Throne. And all in all, not the greatest. Moving on, Defense of Strombrad is also another very basic mission. It's basically a tutorial, so I kind of want to throw it in the tutorial one, but I'm not going to because it's not actually a tutorial. However, with that being said, it's a little bit better than the Fires Down Below for a no build. I'm going to put it in tutorials because that's more or less what it is. Black Rock and Roll is actually a very fun mission, but also very basic. However, I'm going to put it clear up in B tier. The reason for this is because in terms of gameplay for a secondary mission, it gives you a really fun optional quest in taking out Cyrenax and obtaining the orb, which is really good. It's a really good starting mission as well, very similar to Defense of Strombrad. It's the first time you actually get a base to build, but it's not exactly a tutorial, not nearly as much. You know what? I'm actually going to change Defense of Strombrad. We're just going to put it into, I actually really like it. I'm going to put it in the C tier. Yeah, it's just good. There's a base that you can take out if you want to. You get optional units with the riflemen if you complete the option, or if you just go and talk to the dudes that give you the optional quest. It's fun. I like it. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna put it at C tier. It's not. I can't. It's not a B tier. It's a C tier. Moving on. Ravages of the Plague is actually one of the better no-build missions. I'm actually going to put it in A tier? But I think Ravages of the Plague is one of the best no-build missions. It introduces you to a whole lot of new mechanics. It introduces you to a new character as well that you get to play with, a new hero, I should say, in Jaina. That's really fun. It's a lot like the Fires Down Below. It's closer to that than it is to like the Defense of Strombrad, but it does everything right. It has enough story going on to make things interesting. It has a lot of different mechanics that are introduced. This is where you get defend, you get the priests, you get the mortar teams. Actually, yeah, you get the priests, you get the mortar teams. You don't really need to know a whole lot about them. They're more so introduced in this mission for the next one, and it's really just a solid one. Cult of the Damned. This one is a just solid solid build mission. Nothing too special about it. It just does what it needs to do pretty well. Actually, no. I'm going to put it in C tier. It's no better than Black Rock and Roll. There's a little bit more to explore to the map, which is always nice, which is why I'm going to put it above Black Rock and Roll, but it's not like in a tier of its own. So, there's that. March of the Scourge is one of the best holdout missions in Warcraft, and I am not a fan of holdout missions. I think that they are very boring. However, there is a lot to do. Okay, that's a lie. There's a bit that you can do. The Reforged makes it a bit better. There's a bit more that you can do. But it's a holdout mission. I'm going to put it in D tier. I despise holdout missions. Even though this is one of the better ones, I still don't like it. The Culling is an iconic mission, and I love it, and it's S tier, and you could tell me whatever you want. The story is amazing. We're not talking about the story, but the gameplay itself is phenomenal. You have to attack and kill your own civilians. It's so fun. It's one of the coolest mechanics in a quote-unquote timed or in a race, because you can slow down your opponent as much as you want. You can go and make it as long of a mission as you want, entirely depending on how willing you are to fight the other person who's, you know, taking these souls, right? Mal'Ganis. It's super dope. Also, Mal'Ganis is really threatening when you first go against him. He's really cool, really threatening, and just a solid enemy to deal with, right? Solid difficulty, all of that. Oh, it just does everything so well. And that's going to actually bring us to our first Reforged mission in the Culling. This is straight F. It is the worst rendition of a map I have seen. It's weirdly awful. It is so much more difficult for like no reason. The enemy that attacks you is relentless. Mal'Ganis is significantly faster. All in all, it's just like everything is just, it's more difficult, but not only that, it doesn't have the same flow to it. I hate it. I think this is definitely solely because of how much I love the original one. But this one sucks. It's bad. I despise it. Moving on, the Shores of Northrend. It is just a solid mission. You start out with a no-build section. You go around till you find a gold mine. Once you find the gold mine, it's a basic build mission. You can rescue some allies, which allows you to get a really, really large army if you max out and then rescue them, which is very easily done. And then you just have a really easy way to just storm over the opponent's base. It's also one where the attack waves are challenging, but not too difficult to where it's really annoying. Dissension. In terms of story, very good. In terms of no build, it's solid. It's average for no build. And now we get to Frostmourne. Solid A tier. It's a great finale mission to the first campaign, and all in all, it's just good. The attack waves are menacing and definitely challenging, but you start out with so many phenomenal units that it's a little, I mean, it's not too easy because they attack from so many different angles, but it is pretty easy. The attack waves, though, towards the end become very challenging, and you really have to have like your entire army to defend effectively, at least. And the base at the end is pretty difficult to take down. However, Arthas can literally just go invulnerable, attack a building, destroy it, and then run away. And so you can cheese it very easily. But all in all, still very good. Highly recommend it. Moving on, we now have the... where is it? Undead. Yes. The Undead missions. Trudging through the Ashes. Actually, another really good no-build mission. I'm actually going to put it above the Shores of Northrend. They use the night mechanic very effectively here, where the decreased line of sight is very nice. But basically, you can just run through the entire map without ever having to kill anything, which is very interesting. It's a different mechanic. It's very nice. It's very fun. I love where all of the acolytes are also hidden. It's very fun to find them all. So, there you go. Trudging through the ashes. Pretty simple. Moving on, we have Digging Up the Dead. This is the one for Kel'Thuzad, where you try and get the ashes, or the bones of Kel'Thuzad, and then you get the urn for Kel'Thuzad to be placed in. Honestly, it's a pretty bad mission. It's like one of the worst. I'm gonna put it in D tier, probably below the fires down below. I hate this mission. This mission's really bad. They give you, for some reason, they give you the meat wagon as your second unit, which means what you have as your army is ghouls, one of the most frail and worthless melee units in the game, with meat wagons, well, a siege weapon. So, you're dealing splash damage to your own units that are also very frail. It's super annoying. It doesn't make sense. Moving on, Into the Realm Eternal. It's a nice gimmick. There's no gimmick. You basically just have to cut through some trees. That's the gimmick. It's also pretty bad. It's better than... Yeah, it's better than Black Rock and Roll, but it's basically just destroy specific base. That's it. Moving on. Key of the Three Moons. I actually think that this is a really solid mission. Just overall, pretty solid. Gonna put it at the top of B tier for now. I like the gimmick of having to destroy 3 altars to get the 3 keys. This is where you get the Crypt Fiend, and the Crypt Fiend is the, like, bestest unit for undead in at least the first campaign. It's super dope. I love it. And it's a solid mission. It also introduces Zeppelins to allow you to fly from place to place, and the warp gate. It's not a warp gate. The teleporters. Super dope. I think it's fun. Going from place to place and destroying a bunch of bases through these teleporters is super fun. Moving on, we have the Fall of Silvermoon. This is going to be the first A tier mission for the undead. It is solid. I would put it above Frostmourne. It also introduces the Gargoyle, which is whatever. But you can also get the Banshees from this mission if you end up killing Sylvanas. Really cool. I super like it. However, the biggest weird thing about it is story-wise, it doesn't make sense in the original because Sylvanas is turned into a Banshee in the story, but the mission to actually destroy Sylvanas is entirely optional. So you could just play through this mission and win and never have to deal with Sylvanas. So that's kind of interesting. But all in all, destroying all the bases, being able to possess things, and then build up an army utilizing the possessed workers is super fun. That's a mechanic that doesn't appear in the Reforged version, but it does show up in the original. It's super fun. Okay, moving on, we have... Oh, that reminds me. Reforged. Fall of Silvermoon. I actually really like this one. It makes the Sylvanas encounter part of the mission, but it's a weird hybrid of like a no-build style while also forcing you to build and like macro and stuff like that. So, all in all, Fall of Silvermoon, Reforged, I'm going to put it in the C tier. I think it's probably above Cult of the Damned, but not above Dissension. It's a fine mission. It's just nothing special. Reforged. Stop. Okay, moving on. We have Black Rock and Rolled 2. This is a really cool mission in terms of setting, in terms of what you're supposed to do. I like the fact that you can literally just go through and destroy just the red base, and then still win the mission. But you could also go through and complete the optional quest, which is to destroy all of the, well, not all of the bases, but more specifically all of the enemy leaders, which is also a really cool mechanic. The fact that you can literally just go over, kill the enemy hero, and then it's dead forever, which is really interesting. No other mission really plays with that idea. So it's got a few things that are done really well, but other than that, it's pretty simple. You do get the frost worms, which basically makes it so that you're just building a bunch of frost worms and gargoyles and stuff like that, and then running around with heroes and meat wagons. But all in all, it's still a fun mission. I like it. Siege of Dalaran is S tier. I don't care what you say. This one is so stinking fun. I love the mechanic of your units being continuously poisoned, basically, as you go and try to take out these archmages. It's super fun. And then you go, you destroy the archmage, and then you go and you destroy a base, and then you get another base, and then you got to defend that, and then you can move on, and you go into this poison again, and you destroy the archmage, and he's got even more defenders this time, so it was even more difficult. And then you get to the to the last base, and you destroy the base, and it's, anyway, I like it. I love it. I think it's super cool. You're introduced to the Abomination as well in this mission, which is super nice. But all in all, I love it. That's definitely my nostalgia creeping in, because this was my favorite mission back in the day, because I literally couldn't get past the next mission, which is under the... Wait, hold on, I lied. Reforged Siege of Dalaran. It's an A tier. It's not quite as good as the original, in my opinion, but it does a few things very differently that I really like. It shows a lot of story stuff that is really cool. Like, for example, the archmages, all in all, are now more of like scientists. So in terms of like setting and lore and stuff, it's really good. And the gameplay, all in all, is still similar, but it doesn't have that same feel of the original Siege. So I'm actually going to put it at like the bottom of A tier. It's still good, but it just doesn't hold that same like S tier ranking for me. And then we have Under the Burning Sky. Guess what this is? It's a holdout mission. You know what I say to holdout missions? D tier. I hate it. I don't know. It's fine. It's just a holdout mission. You get infernals and fell beasts, but it's a holdout mission. It's really boring. Like, it's holdout missions, boring. I hate them. Moving on. Orc number 1, Landfall. It's pretty basic. It's a starting mission. I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's like average, no build, nothing too special. You go around, you collect guys, you find them, you get them in your party, and then you go and defend a location. It's pretty simple, pretty standard, pretty basic, whatever. The Long March is F tier. I hate this mission. This mission is trash. This mission deserves to die. This mission is the worst. I hate it. I think it deserves. Yeah, it's so boring. Why is it so boring? Dude, it sucks. It's another no build mission right after you just had Landfall. It's another no build mission, in a very similar manner, except this time you're moving with a slow moving caravan that is constantly being attacked both from the front and the back. The enemies from the back are constantly spawning. It's just, oh, it's awful. It's I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it. You can tell me what you think about it, but I hate it. Cry of the War Song is not a tutorial mission. It is S tier. It is my favorite mission of all time in the original campaign, because quite frankly, it's just so fun to have an ally that attacks while they're stupid. They still attack, which is nice. And second of all, it's so fun to just destroy all of the human bases. I love Orc, and so playing Orc is super fun for me, but this is just one of the most solid missions. I love Grommash Hellscream as well, and did you know, in the original game, if you attack Grommash and kill enough of his units, he turns on you, and he starts fighting you. I love that. That is so cool. Cry of the War Song is one of the greatest missions of all time, and you can't tell me otherwise. It's so much fun. Anyway, moving on. Spirits of Ashenvale is also really solid. I'm going to put it in A. I'm actually going to put it in B tier. The gimmick of this is that you don't really have that much gold, and you're supposed to be gaining a whole bunch of lumber. You have to move out in order to get to a gold mine. And basically, you're just supposed to get a whole bunch of lumber. And you can either do that through fighting the night elves that are around and chopping down their trees, or you could just chop down trees. Spirits of Ashenvale, I like it. It's fun, but it's not the greatest. However, Hunters of Shadow is really solid. I love the fact that there is a base defense section. Then you have a no-build section. Well, it's more of like a quest section. You go up, you kill some things in order to get to the Blood of Manaroth, and then you become super powered. And then from that, it's basically just run in and kill everything, and it's super fun. You basically just right-click Cenarius if you want to, or you can be a weirdo like me and go and take out every base without killing Cenarius, and then kill Cenarius, because you have just infinite time on your hands, because you're a child. I would say it's probably better than Frostmourne, but not as good as Fall of Silvermoon. It's super solid. I love Grommash. Grommash Hellscream, super dope. I love him. There you go. Moving on, we have Where the Wyverns Dare. This one is super boring. I'm going to put it in D tier. I don't know. It's just bad. It's better than all of these, but it's pretty basic. I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't do anything interesting. The Oracle is a basic no-build mission. It is better than the Fall of Silvermoon, but not better than Dissension. I think Dissension just does what the Oracle is trying to do, but better, except it. This one also has a time limit, but the Oracle doesn't. I don't know. It's fine. Yeah, By Demons Be Driven is S tier. This mission is so much fun. Oh my goodness. First of all, it's incredibly difficult. I like missions that are difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I like missions that are easy, like the Culling and Cry of the War Song, but I also like missions that are difficult, okay? By Demons Be Driven is one of the more difficult missions in the campaign, and the reason for that is because you're constantly being attacked by not only fel orcs, but also infernals. Infernals are crazy powerful, and so are fel orcs. The fel orcs do chaos damage. They have warlocks that can stun lock you. It's crazy. So your defense has to be really on point, right? Because you're constantly being attacked. But the thing is, you also have to basically attack through an entire enemy base, like a huge base of fel orcs, which are literally just better than you. You have to attack through an entire enemy base to get to Grom. Then you gotta capture Grom and bring him back. It's super fun. It's a really cool mechanic as well. They give you this orb. They're like, hey, use this orb, bring back Grom. There you go. So it's not like this big boss fight. Which, I forgot to mention, in the Siege of Dalaran, there is a boss fight. Forgot to mention that. That's a thing. But yeah, By Demons Be Driven, it's so fun. There's so much to explore. You get an ally as well to kind of help you by more or less soaking enemy attacks. But I love it. It's super fun. Moving on, let's go to the Night Elf campaign. Enemies at the Gate is F tier. I hate it. It's super bad. It's so bad. So, basically, the only mission is to kill the Paladin, but you get Night Elves for the first time, and unlike all of the rest of the missions previously that started with a new race, it is a building mission. It's a regular mission, unlike all the rest where it was a no-build section. It's a different take, but What the main issue is that you only get archers and Tyrande, and that's it. And Tyrande starts with the scout ability. You can't change that. You always start with scout, which means you can see the whole map. Great. Guess what? That doesn't matter. You do no freaking damage. It sucks. And meanwhile, the entire tech tree has been unlocked for the humans and the orcs. So you're just going at them with archers against, like, everything. So it just takes forever. Plus, you have no damage against buildings. That's all. Daughters of the Moon is A tier. It's a solid A tier. I might say it's actually S tier. I don't know. It's either top of A or S. Here's why. It is by far the best no-build mission in the first campaign. It is, or in the first game, right, in Reign of Chaos. It is so fun. You have to use the Shadow Meld ability, but the thing is, the Shadow Meld ability is basically on a time limit because the sun eventually does come out. You also have to get to an allied base before it goes down. Not really that big of a deal. But the enemies you cannot fight at all, which is one of the first times in this series, like throughout all of these games, where there's just an enemy that you just can't fight. You don't win. You can't fight anything, right? It's like, even in, where is it? Trudging Through Ashes, you could still fight the knights. You could still basically fight everything if you took it slow enough. In this one, you just don't win. Even if you take it slow, you don't win. What are they? Doom Guards are so powerful. Stomp, Cripple, Dispel Magic, Rain of Fire, all insanely good abilities. So, yeah, really solid. I love the way that they force you to use Shadow Meld as well. It's not something where it's like, oh, we're gonna force you to use this because it's a gimmick. It's like, hey, this is a cool ability that the Night Elves get. Utilize it, right? I don't know. It just does everything that you would want to do in a no-build mission. I'm actually going to put it in S tier. Bottom of S tier. Yeah. The Awakening of Stormrage. Let's move on. This is a... What is this one? You have to go through... Oh, this one... Oh, this one's got a time limit. This one sucks. This one's awful. I hate this one. Awakening of Stormrage is bottom of D tier. It's worse than Digging Up the Dead. It's a time limit where you have to attack through an enemy base and kill a whole bunch of guardians in order to get to a horn. But the time limit isn't actually like a timer. It's just like, hey, there's a bunch of trees that you gotta hope don't get chopped down before you awaken this dude. It's annoying. That's all. It's just annoying. Druids Arise. This one is Waking the Talon. Druid of the Talon. This one's, I don't know, it's basic. It's simple. It's average. You fight through... actually, this one... No. This one aesthetically is really cool, but gameplay-wise, it's pretty average. Basically, you're just utilizing the fact that all of your buildings can move, and you're going from gold mine to gold mine, which is a cool gimmick, but doesn't actually work in practice. I'm going to say it's... We're going to put it at the top of C tier, the top of average. It's fine. Yeah, the gimmick's cool. You do end up actually fighting through, like, a haunted forest, which, again, aesthetically, really cool. Gameplay-wise, it's fine. And a bunch of your units get stolen from you, so it's really annoying. And then you gotta fight satyrs, which are really annoying as well. It's just... The enemies are really annoying, but the gimmick is really cool, so it's just average. Brothers in Blood is another no-build mission. This time, it's not nearly as good. I'm actually going to put it in... I'm going to put it above Trudging Through Ashes. You fight a whole bunch of things. You get separated, which is, again, similar to the Oracle. Except this time, instead of having to come together to get the two pieces, you start together and then separate into two different missions, which is really cool. It's a nice gimmick, and I think that makes it a little bit better than some of these other no-build missions. However, with that being said, the two gimmicks are pretty unique and pretty fun. It's just that the first half is really boring and really bland. A Destiny of Flame and Sorrow is one of my all-time favorites. I'm gonna put it I'm gonna put it up here with the Hunter of Shadows. It's the Illidan mission, which means that you get Illidan, which is a super cool, super fun hero to use. Mana burn, all of that fun stuff. You also get access to, obviously, all the bears and all of the other druids and stuff like that. So that's super nice. And then, yeah, it's basically just... I mean, there are so many enemies on the map that you can attack. There are so many different things that you can explore. You get attacked from everywhere. There are threatening attacks as well, by, like, Infernals and Doom Guards and stuff like that. The enemies are truly, truly threatening. It's one of the harder build missions as well. It's very difficult. Along the same lines of, like, By Demons Be Driven. Really difficult. Just solid. You destroy the Skull of Gul'dan, and then you destroy Tichondrius, and that... Tichondrius is very strong. He's very strong, and I love it. So yeah, there's that. But it's a pretty solid mission. Nothing too special about it, though. And last but not least, Twilight of the Gods is... I'm actually going to put it in C tier. It's one of the better holdout missions, but it's still a holdout mission, and I can't stand for that. There's a lot to explore. They give you multiple gold mines. They give you 2 allies that are helpful in defense. But all in all, it's nothing too special. I definitely got to put it above Dissension. But it's basic. It's just a holdout mission. Archimonde is terrifying, though, and I love that. And I love that eventually he just gets pissed and starts running at you. It's super cool. Alright, here we go. Now we finally have the next Night Elf campaign, which is for the Frozen Throne. Rise of the Naga is another no-build mission to start off a game, and more specifically to start off learning a new race, or how things work. More specifically, the new hero in Maiev. I'm going to put it in B tier, probably below everything else. Well, I'm going to put it above Trudging Through the Ashes. I think it's a fine no-build mission, and it introduces you to the character and how it works really well. It introduces you to the Naga, which are really strong. The Broken Isles is pretty average. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything special. It's a build mission, except this time it introduces you to ships and how ships work. And so they give you a transport ship and an attacking ship to basically allow you to fight the Naga, which are serpents, sea serpents. So a lot of the time they're going to be having bases in water. The Tomb of Sargeras is a really super fun no-build mission. I'm going to put it at right here. I'm going to put it above Ravages of the Plague. I think I don't know, it's just super fun. You go through an entire tomb utilizing Blink, which is unique to Maiev, to get a whole bunch of Shadow Orb pieces. If you get all the Shadow Orb pieces, which I can never remember where they all are, if you get all of them, you get an insane Shadow Orb. It's super rewarding to go through and do that. Super fun. I love it. Moving on. Wrath of the Betrayer. Oh, yes. Oh, this is the Send the Messenger one. This one's fine. It's probably better than Trudging Through the Ashes as well. I'd actually say it's also probably better than Rise of the Naga, but not... There. There's where it is. Wrath of the Betrayer is fun. Balancing the Scales is a solid A-tier mission. Basically, Balancing the Scales is super fun. You get Tyrande and Malfurion and their forces, and it's basically a no-build section for them, and then it's a very scarce resource base defense section for Maiev, and you're doing both of these simultaneously. And normally, I mentioned in the Wrath of the Betrayer how, like, the multitasking can be a little unfun. This makes it really fun. Utilizing Malfurion and Tyrande, who are both level 10 heroes, to their fullest is really fun. And then, of course, most of the time, you're going to be trying to get as many resources with Tyrande and Malfurion so that you can defend your base with Maiev, so that Maiev doesn't die. Because if Maiev dies, well, if that base dies, you lose, right? And then after that part, then you do have a kind of mediocre section in you just have to destroy Illidan's base. It's very simple, it's very boring, and it's also very difficult. Destroying Illidan's base is very hard because of the fact that your units just aren't as good. Mountain Giants are crazy, they're really strong, but they still don't match up nearly as well as you would think against something like a Naga Royal Guard. Yeah, that's why it gets pulled down. That first section, easy S tier. It's challenging and it's fun. I love it. Second section really pulls it down. So, Shards of the Alliance. I love this one. This is also another no-build mission. It's going in S tier. Why? Because it's super stupid fun. You basically just defend a caravan. Now, what makes this different from, where is it? The Long March. Well, the caravan is actually fun to defend. Here's why. You're killing a bunch of undead. You get things like mountain giants and bears that are super fun to use. Maiev is super good at defending because of her blink ability. She can just blink to the back and murder everything there, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're done. Fantastic. You love to see it. So, all in all, it's a really solid caravan defense, and then the battle at the end is also super fun. Plus, you can go two separate directions. You can either go down the route that is long but safe, or down the route that is short but dangerous. That takes you through undead base. It's super fun. I love the decisions that you can make, the different things that you can do. Maiev really shines in this mission. Tyrande also really shines in this mission. They were both really cool. I love it. I think it's super fun. I don't know why I enjoy this one so much, but I do. I love it so much. And it's everything that the Long March tried to be. So, Ruins of Dalaran is also another really solid mission. I'm going to put it right there. I think it's right below Destiny of Frost or Flame and Sorrow. Ruins of Dalaran, I don't know how to explain it. It's just super fun. Maiev and Malfurion try to take out Illidan, and the way to do it most of the time is to use fairy dragons and chimeras, and you just fly them in and kill these summoners. But it's basically a base defense until you get up a large enough force, and then you just fly them in most of the time. And you can also get a paladin as well on the map. And then you've also got an ally in what's his face, but he's mostly fighting the undead in Kael'thas. There we go. But he's mostly fighting the undead. However, all in all, it's super solid and super fun. Moving on, the Brothers Stormrage. This is a really fun mission as well. I'm gonna put it right above. Actually, I'm gonna put it above A Destiny of Flame and Sorrow. This is the first time you get to utilize the Naga, except you don't get their two most overpowered units. Obviously, the Naga Royal Guard, you're never able to build that because it's broken. Imagine if you could. Even if it cost like 1,000 gold, it'd still be worth it. That thing is insane. Or the Coatl. You don't get the Coatl either because no flyers are allowed, because guess what? They knew how overpowered the Coatl was. And they said, no flyers. That would be too simple. You just fly over and pick her up and you'd be done. So, it ends up being basically a perfect showcase of the Naga. However, unlike the previous mission where you had AI-controlled allies, you now just have two separate bases. It's really annoying. Luckily, they're two entirely separate armies that you're controlling. So unlike in previous missions where you would basically be sharing the same supply, the same resources, this time what you're doing is you're just not sharing the same resources or the same supply or anything like that. And it's basically a base defense for one side and then trying to destroy an enemy base on the other side. Moving on! Finally! We are in the Blood Elf campaign. Misconceptions. Misconceptions is interesting. I'm gonna put it below Trudging Through the Ashes. It's fine. Basically, what you do is you go through and repair a bunch of observatories, which is super boring. But the fun part is you start out as a no-build section, you go through as this thing's being repaired, you get to a dock, and then you go to an island that actually has a gold mine. On that gold mine, you're able to build a base and set up, and then you can either destroy the undead base or you can just repair the observatory and then move on to the next area where you basically you kill a bunch of creeps and then you repair their last observatory. It's pretty simple, but it's still pretty fun. A Dark Covenant, S tier. Yes. It is super fun, and this is definitely my nostalgia talking, because I was stuck on this mission for ages, so I played it a ton. But what makes this mission so very, very fun is the fact that... Ooh, I just hit my desk. Is the fact that you get the Naga as well in this mission. And, more specifically, what happens is you don't actually get to build Naga. You just get them, right? You get some Sirens, you get some Mimrodons. I don't know how to say those words. You get them, and you can actually utilize them. You also get a new hero, which is super fun. And the idea of having to retake a gold mine is super cool. And then still basically having to either defend your new base or your old base or both, and with the attack waves being as menacing as they are, it is very scary. But you do get things like the Dragonhawk Rider. The opening couple of minutes are so fun because you can save a bunch of your units by just like pulling them away, and then they get teleported to your base, and now you have just a million guys. It's super fun. Next one, the Dungeons of Dalaran is fine. I'm gonna put it at above Black Rock and Roll. Yep. It's a no-build mission. That's fine. That's about it. It doesn't really do much that I enjoy. I like the idea of having to stand in two separate sections to open or to like get specific things. With the runes, that's nice, but other than that, it doesn't really do anything too great. It's nothing too special, but it's a no-build mission. And it allows you to get to the secret, which is basically a tower defense game in Warcraft. I actually don't like this one. I think it's D tier. I think it's very bad. I love tower defense, but this tower defense is really just pretty mediocre. Sometimes I will literally just skip it. However, it does give you an extra hero on this mission, the Search for Illidan. The Search for Illidan is phenomenal. I love it. It's a no-build mission that is a tug of war. I love missions that are a tug of war. One of my favorite missions in Age of Mythology is, in fact, called Tug of War. I love it. It's so fun. You got a cage, you gotta defend it from Maiev. Maiev can take it. All of your units are AI, except for specifically your hero and your squad, which makes it so fun because you don't have to actually do any of the fighting. It's simply just control your hero squad, destroy the enemy, win. It's super fun. I love it. It's challenging, and you can do certain things that make it more interesting. Actually, it's not challenging, but you can like let Maiev take it and get it really close to the base and then retake it with a huge influx of army from your base, like, you know. Anyway, it's super dope. I love it. It's a cool mission, and yeah, you also get the panda on this mission, which is fun. Moving on, we have Gates of the Abyss. This one is super easy to cheese due to the coatl, and you just make a million of them, and then, yeah. But even with that being said, you close a bunch of gateways so that Magtheridin can't get any more reinforcements in Outland, and that's about it. You just close a bunch of gates. It's the first mission where you actually get to build all of the available units and get upgrades and all of that fun stuff for the Naga. It's great. You finally get to build Coatls. Yay. So you just build all of them and then you win. Lord of Outland is another S tier mission. I don't care what you say. It is so uniquely glorious in terms of gameplay. Lord of Outland is really interesting because you can build units, but you can't mine any gold or harvest any lumber. So basically the only way to get resources is to find it out on the map by using your heroes that are really strong and your starting units and going out and basically destroying the entire Black Citadel and just leveling it to the ground. And it's so fun. You've got the Blood Elf section with Illidan, Akama, and... oh, by the way, Akama's here. The new Draenei hero. Super cool. And Kale. However, Kale doesn't have his Phoenix ability, which is sad. But, with that being said, you can basically just go around, pick up a bunch of gold, get a whole big army, kill the 2 guys guarding the keys to get to Magtheridin, fight Magtheridin, and and win. There's also this mechanic with the guard towers that you have to deal with, where basically you can use the invisible Draenei in order to take out the generators for the guard towers, and then you win. And now the guard towers are no longer an issue. It's super cool. It's super solid. It's such a unique idea as well. And it's like the first time it's actually been utilized. It's so fun. Granted, it's a little easy because you can basically do everything with just your hero squads, or your hero squad. And so because of that, it makes things a lot simpler. And then you just have an entirely massive army to fight Magtheridin. But the thing is, Magtheridin is incredibly difficult, and I didn't do that the first time, and I didn't have enough money to actually beat him. So, with that being said, keep in mind, he's still strong, and yeah, you can kind of cheese it, but it's still really fun. I thoroughly enjoy it. Okay, here we go. The final full-on campaign that is like basically an actual campaign in Warcraft. King Arthas. This is F tier. I hate it. It's so bad. Let me explain at you why. It's not the worst. It's better than the Long March, I'll tell you that. Let me tell you why this one is so bad. So, basically, what they do is they say, hey, guess what? You gotta go and destroy these paladins as well as go and destroy these villages. All of these villages are going to send attack waves that you have to defend against. But the thing is, some of the attack waves, well, all of the waves are full of enemies and units that don't attack you, that just run straight to the end. Really annoying, because if they get to the end, if a certain amount of them get to the end, you lose. Great, fine, okay, that's fine. But sometimes your guys will just avoid them and not, like, pay attention to them. And it's not like they get one shot or anything. Like, you actually have to pay attention to them. You have to sink a couple of hits into them. Anyway, that's super annoying. You have to do this on 3 different sections with 3 different factions, basically. You've got to use King Arthas with abominations and ghouls. You got to use Kel'Thuzad with necromancers and ghouls. And then you've got to use Sylvanas, I don't know why I forgot her name, Sylvanas with banshees and ghouls. And let's be honest, banshees and ghouls are significantly better because they have possession. Guess what? You could just possess the enemy. Just possess the good guys. The guys that are strong. Just possess them. But then, on top of that, they're constantly sending these attack waves, but you're also supposed to send out attack waves and attack things. But guess what? They're all so heavily defended that it's impossible to do this. And it's not like it's hard, per se. It's just so long. I've never really completed this mission quickly. It's always like an hour for me. It's so long, and it's awful. Moving on. We have Flight from Lordaeron. It's a fine no build. It's solid. It's average. It's nothing special. It's very simple. The Dark Lady is a fine no build mission. The gimmick is basically taking control of NPC creeps, basically, and then you get the entire creep, and you get all of their faction. It's really cool. I love it. It's fun. And then you destroy an enemy base. Pretty simple. The Return to Northrend is similar. I'm actually going to put it below... Yeah, below Rise of the Naga. That seems about right. It's another no-build mission. You get introduced to... What's-his-face? Anubarak. Thank you. Return to Northrend is fine. I don't even know how to put it. It's just, it's water. You build ships. You attack different locations because there's a Naga on the map, and Naga have to shine somehow. They can't just be enemies on land. They also have to prove that they can swim to attack you. It's fun. It's not a bad mission. It's just pretty average. Pretty okay. Dreadlord's Fall is one of my favorite missions. I'm going to put it in A tier. It's below Gates of Abyss. It's fun. Yep. I don't know what else to say. It's fun. It's got a really interesting mechanic at the beginning where you basically sneak attack them. So you choose an enemy to attack, and then you can, like, also because of Banshees already having possession upgraded fully, as well as the charm ability on Sylvanas, you can basically take control of a lot of these guys, and you can just start building up your own human faction. It's great. You have to destroy 2 bases, or 2 enemies, I should say, with the undead and the humans. It's cool. It's a very interesting mechanic to... Alright, a new power in Lordaeron is a bit worse, but not by much, to a Dreadlord, or Dreadlord's Fall. It's hard. And that's one of the best things about it, is that it's very difficult. So you start out, this time, again, very similar to the Brothers Stormrage, with 2 different bases. Both bases have the main purple enemy that they can deal with, as well as other enemies that they can deal with to get, like, new gold mines and stuff like that. But the main goal is basically just destroy the purple base, and it's pretty difficult. Not gonna lie, there are Doom Guards and Infernals and whole, like, Fell Guards as well, or Fell Hounds, all of which are very scary. So, a new power in Lordaeron is really... It's a really solid mission. I don't know what else to say. Now we have Into the Shadow Web. It's a fine no-build mission. Yeah, I'm actually going to put it below the Flight of Lordaeron. It's average. It's another no-build mission. You kill a bunch of dwarves. It's very simple. Actually, I'm going to put it at the bottom of C tier. It's worse than Landfall now that I think about it. But then we've got the Forgotten Ones, which is a bit better. I'm going to put it in the middle of C tier, below the Cult of the Damned, because I can. It's fine. I don't know what else to say. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah, it's another no-build mission. But Ascent to the upper level is really good. I'm going to put it right there, above Ruins of Dalaran. This one is very unique in the fact that you only utilize Arthas for the vast majority of it. And Arthas has been leveling, or been going down in levels the entire campaign. He starts at 10, and he continually goes down in level. And so, by the time you reach this level, he's at level 2, right? By the time you reach this mission, I should say. He's at level 2. Very scary. And there's a whole bunch of enemies that you basically just don't win a fight against. And so you're just trying to avoid stuff. That being said, you also have a time limit, which normally I'm not a fan of time limits, but this time it actually works very well, because it basically forces you to avoid fights and to focus on getting out and instead of actually fighting. And last but not least, we have a Symphony of Frost and Flame. Now, first and foremost, I am going to say that that is one of the coolest names of all time. And second of all, it is the best mission in the campaign, hands down. Don't at me. It is so outrageously good. Here's why. This mission does everything you want in a build mission. It has hard attack waves that aren't ridiculous. It has multiple enemies that you can go and attack and destroy. It has a mission that you have to defend, and it has several separate enemies that are all doing their own thing. And with Illidan being as difficult as he is, it really does mean that you have to be paying attention and you have to have a good defense built up while also being able to, go out and explore. And there is so much to explore. There's so much to do on this map. You can go and take out the 2 other enemies as well if you so chose, but there's also like a bunch of creeps on the map that you can go and take out and get these items from. There's also a million like gold mines around, so you could just take a bunch of these gold mines and have a bunch of gold. So yeah, it's so everything. It's so good. It's such a phenomenal finale to this series in the RTS genre. It's so fun. The story for it is great. I know we're not talking about the story. This is solely based on gameplay, but the story is still phenomenal. I love it. Symphony of Frost and Flame, mwah, mwah. It's so good. It's so good. As for, I know I said last but not least, still got 3 more. We've got Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 of The Founding of Durotar. All of these I am going to put into A tier, at the very top of A tier. Why? These are basically what WoW was before WoW existed. And in all honesty, we saw how good WoW was when it came out. It's super good. I think, realistically, To Tame a Land is so good. Old Hatreds is a little bit worse than it, and Blaze of Glory is actually probably better than Old Hatreds, I'm not going to lie. But all of them do so much that is uniquely fun. It's Warcraft 3, but played like an MMO RPG, right? It's no longer an RTS, it's more of an RPG. And they're all very fun. They're all extremely fun. They're some of the most fun campaigns to play because it's more so focused on the micro and utilizing your heroes effectively and not about the macro. But yeah, there you go. There is the list. All right, here it is. Here's the entire list for you. There you go. All of it right there. A stupid tier maker thing. Hopefully you can see all of that and understand it. But there you go. Including the Reforged. I should have stated this earlier, but all of the Reforged missions are solely the ones that are actually like restructured and basically completely redone. So obviously there's only 3, and it's only from the original campaign. I wonder why. It's like Frozen Throne is super solid. Anyway, that's it. We're done. Done and dusted. There you go. Have yourselves a good day. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all of that fun stuff. But always remember to stay frosty. Bye-bye.